And I guess I would preface today's bit by saying that I find that when I'm in a difficult place, and while I'm not particularly suffering in this time, nevertheless, we are sharing a difficult place. When I'm in a difficult place, I like to go back to basics, to reclaim the foundational matters of my life and faith, and to kind of repeat something that I've already known for forever, and then repeat it again, and so on. So today, we're just going to reflect on the fact that at the very heart of our tradition is this matter we call love. And it's an ancient proclamation that we were created out of love for the sake of love. And we have a stunning and explicit declaration of that from Deuteronomy. And then we also have that reverberant throughout all of the centuries following into the time of Jesus and beyond. So we have this passage from Deuteronomy and then another passage from Colossians, which also is a gloss on this whole idea of how love is supposed to manifest itself in our lives. So Nicole Armstrong will read these two passages for us.
Our first passage is Deuteronomy 6, verses 1 through 9. These are the commands, decrees, and laws the Lord your God directed me to teach you, to observe in the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess, so that you, your children, and their children after them may fear the Lord your God as long as you live, by keeping all his decrees and commands that I give you, and so that you may enjoy long life. Hear, O Israel, and be careful to obey, so that it may go well with you, and that you may increase greatly in a land flowing with milk and honey, just as the Lord, the God of your fathers, promised you. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be upon your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. The second scripture comes from Colossians 3, verses 12 through 16. Hear these words. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive whatever grievances you may have against one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace. And be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom, and as you sing songs, hymns, and spiritual songs with gratitude in your hearts to God. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. So love is at the heart of our tradition. But so often what happens is that as we move through our lives, we don't really believe that we are that lovely or that we are that lovable. And Henry Nouwen, reflecting on this matter, wrote a book entitled Life of the Beloved. And this is a small section from that book. How do we get in touch with our chosenness when we are surrounded by rejections? I have said that this involves a real spiritual struggle. Are there any guidelines in this struggle? Let me try to formulate a few. First of all, you have to keep unmasking the world about you for what it is. manipulative, controlling, power-hungry, and in the long run, destructive. The world tells you many lies about who you are, and you simply have to be realistic enough to remind yourself of this. Every time you feel hurt, offended, or rejected, you have to dare to say to yourself, these feelings, strong as they may be, are not telling me the truth about myself. The truth, even though I cannot feel it right now, is that I am the chosen child of God, precious in God's eyes, called the beloved from all eternity and held safe in an everlasting embrace. Secondly, you have to keep looking for people and places where your truth is spoken and where you are reminded of your deepest identity as the chosen one. Yes, we must dare to opt consciously for our chosenness and not allow our emotions, feelings, or passions to seduce us into self-rejection. The synagogues, the churches, the many communities of faith, the different support groups helping us with our addictions, and family and friends and teachers and students, all of these can become reminders of our truth. The limited, sometimes broken love of those who share our humanity can often point us to the truth of who we are, precious in God's eyes. This truth is not simply an inner truth that emerges from our center. It is also a truth that is revealed to us by the one who has chosen us. That is why we have to keep listening to the many people in history who, through their lives and their words, call us back to it. Thirdly, you have to celebrate your chosenness constantly. This means saying thank you to God for having chosen you, and thank you to all who remind you of your chosenness. Gratitude is the most fruitful way of deepening your consciousness that you are not an accident, but a divine choice. It is important to realize how often we have had chances to be grateful and have not used them. When someone is kind to us, when an event turns out well, when a problem is solved, a relationship restored, a wound healed, there are very concrete reasons to offer thanks. Be it with words, with flowers, with a letter, a card, a phone call, or just a gesture of affection. By the way, that book is worth picking up. It's kind of a classic, Life of the Beloved by Henry Nouwen. Join me in this prayer then, friends. Oh God, open us today. Open to us today the sea of your mercy, and water us with full streams from the riches of your grace and springs of your kindness. Make us children of quietness and heirs of peace. Kindle in us the fire of your love. Strengthen our weakness by your power, and bind us close to you and to each other. Make us to remember we were fashioned in love by you for the sake of love. Amen.